Hello and welcome to Question Hour on Rajya Sabha TV. We get you questions asked by members in last session of Rajya Sabha and the answers given by the government and their respective ministries and departments. I'm Rajat Kain, joined with my colleague Kriti Mishra.
Thank you so much, Rajat. So let's take our viewers through important questions and answers that we've picked up in this edition of Question Hour.
Well, let's start with the first question on the show that's been asked by member Pratap Singh Bajwa from Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Well, the question is the number of ex-servicemen who have completed skill courses during Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and the details thereof.
In the response, the government says that under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, skilling is being imparted through short-term training courses and recognition of prior learning. SET is being imparted to either school or college dropouts or unemployed youth at accredited and affiliated training centres. Upon completion of their assessment, candidates are being offered or provided with placement assistance by training providers. Under RLP, individuals with prior learning experience or skills are being assessed and also certified. It aims to align the competencies of the unregulated workforce of the country to the National Skills Qualification Framework or NSQF. Directorate of Indian Army Veterans is the implementing body who is providing placement in support with Army Welfare Placement Organisation. Let's move on to the next question that has been asked by member Kumari Selja, and this one is to the Ministry of Railways. And the member has asked the government whether the Railways has manufactured and developed a high-speed locomotive capable of achieving a top speed of 180 kilometers per hour.
Well, answering in affirmative, the government said yes, the cost of indigenously designed and manufactured WAP-5 class of electronic locomotive by Chitranjan Locomotive Works capable of achieving speed of 200 kilometers per hour is 16.3 crores. Now, since Mission RAFTAAR is a mission and not a project, precise capital expenditure for development of the railway infrastructure and capacity expansion which would lead to attainment of the goals and objectives of Mission RAFTAAR has not been quantified. Improvement in average speed of trains is continuous exercise of Indian Railways. The Mission RAFTAAR announced in railway budget in the year 2016-17 envisages doubling of average speed of freight trains and increasing average speed of non-suburban passenger train by 25 kilometers per hour in next 5 years. Now, action plan for improving mobility and increasing average speed includes removal of speed restrictions, construction of road over bridges and road under bridges, right powering of trains and replacement of conventional passenger trains, which also include short distance trains stopping at all stations and excluding mails and express trains by mainline electric multiple unit, which is also referred to as MEMU trains, and diesel electric multiple units called DEMU trains. Well, next question was asked by member Jose K. Mani from Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and he asked whether despite India climbing up ease of doing business 2020 survey rankings to 63 among 190 economies, the marked deterioration in business sentiments on the ground suggests otherwise.
In the response, the government says that in the latest Doing Business Report 2020 released by World Bank on 24th of October 2019, India stands at 63rd position out of 190 countries, registering a jump of 14 places from its last year's rank. The Doing Business team of the World Bank collects data which are based on detailed reading of domestic laws, regulations and administrative requirements, as well as their implementation in practice as experienced by private professionals. The data is collected through several rounds of communication with expert respondents, both private sector practitioners and also government officials, through responses of questionnaires, conference calls, written correspondence and visit by the team. According to the World Bank's methodology, Doing Business measures aspects of business regulation affecting small domestic firms located in the largest business city or cities of the economies. Moving on to the next question that has been asked by member Rakesh Sinha, and this one pertains to the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And the member has asked about the number of tribal communities whose population is constantly declining and the efforts made by the government to preserve such communities.
Well, replying to the query, the government said there are certain tribal communities who are declining or stagnant population, low levels of literacy, pre-agricultural level of technology and are economically backward. These groups are among the most vulnerable section of our society as they are few in numbers, have not attained any significant level of social and economic development and generally inhabit remote localities having poor infrastructure and administrative support. 75 such groups in 17 states and 1 union territory have been identified and categorized as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Now, Ministry of Tribal Affairs is implementing a scheme, namely development of particularly vulnerable tribal groups, specifically for PVTG population, that is, particularly vulnerable tribal population. Now, the scheme aims at planning their socio-economic development in comprehensive manner while retaining the culture and heritage of the community by adopting habitat development approach and intervening in all spheres of the social and economic life, so that visible impact is made in improvement of the quality and the life of these tribal communities. Now, funds under the scheme are made available to state and union territories having a tribal community population for the items and activities for survival, protection and development of particularly vulnerable tribal groups which are not specifically catered to by any other schemes of the state or the central government. Well, moving on, next question was asked by member Kanta Kardam from Ministry of Railways, and she sought the details of ongoing and new railway projects and surveys in the country, especially in the backward and rural areas during last 3 years.
Well, the government has given a fairly elaborate answer to this question, and the government goes on to say that presently Indian Railways have taken up 498 railway projects of length 49,069 kilometers consisting 6.75 lakh crore, which are in different stages of execution, planning or sanction, out of which commissioning of 8,979 kilometers has been achieved and expenditure of 1.54 lakh crore incurred up to March 2019. Above projects include 188 new line projects of length 21,295 kilometers consisting 3.87 lakh crore, which are in different stages of execution, planning or sanction, out of which commissioning of 2,622 kilometers has been achieved and expenditure of 85,536 crore incurred up to March 2019. And in addition to these projects, during the last 3 years, that is 2016, 17 and 18, and also during the current financial year, 276 surveys pertaining to new line, gauge, conversion and doubling have been completed. Most of the new line projects have been taken up primarily on socio-economic considerations in backward remote areas for speedy development of economically backward areas. And now let's move on to the last question of this edition of Question Hour, which has been asked by two members, Member Vikas Mahatme and also Member Mahesh Poddar. And this question is to the Ministry of Shipping. And the members have asked the government whether it is focusing on port connectivity at various major and minor ports across the country.
Well, replying in affirmative, the government said, yes, sir, Government of India has undertaken 55 rail projects worth 45,883.2 crore and 15 projects worth 2,899 crore for enhancing port connectivity at various major and minor ports. Now, out of 55 railway projects, 15 projects worth 1,048.2 crore have been completed and 40 projects with a cost of 44,785 crore are under implementation. Out of 15 road projects, 10 projects worth 2,592 crore have been completed and 5 projects amounted to rupees 307 crore are under implementation. Now, expenditure for 38 rail connectivity projects being undertaken by Ministry of Railways till March 2019 is approximately rupees 16,403 crore. For 15 road and 17 rail connectivity projects undertaken by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways major ports, the expenditure in last 3 financial years is approximately 3,204.82 crore. Well, that's it on this version of Question Hour. Stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV to catch the latest on the Hindi version of the show, Prashan Kal.